there, friends. I'm the Dungeon Coach, creator of DC20, and we are here to create some characters here in this video. Whether you just pick the game up for yourself or you're just interested to see how character creation works in DC20, it's pretty smooth, you'll see. I'm gonna do a step-by-step guide of the process and order that I fill out a character sheet and show you how quick it is, and I'm showing you how truly customizable DC20 characters are and all the different systems involved there to let you be able to truly make characters that you would never be able to make in other games. So to showcase the strength of DC20's character creation, we're gonna use a character inspiration no other than the Hulk. If you're to create the Hulk in Dungeons and Dragons, you would have to have a strong character. We're going to be doing a Barbarian for this case, for this rage component, but we're only building a level 1 character because I'm just showing you the basics here. This is not one of those videos where we do a full build all the way and grab all these different things from all these different classes. I will love to do those, and I'll love to see my fellow content creators make those videos in the future. But the problem you run into here with Hulk, Bruce Banner is highly intelligent. The person, the human form of the Hulk is super intelligent. If you want to role play this character and you're playing it outside of combat, you'd have to have a high intelligence. But then if you're in combat and you shift into the Barbarian form and you want to describe it and flavor it as your skin turning green and muscles bulging and stuff, yeah, you're a Barbarian. But those two things in character creation really collide with each other when you're in Pathfinder and D&D, and you really can't make that character without heavily nerfing yourself. Especially if you're going to build something like a Paladin that requires even more stats of having a high strength to be able to wield your weapons, a high constitution to be able to have high health. You need to have that high intelligence to be able to role play the type of character you want, and you have to have charisma for your spells. Whew. But here in DC20, we solve all of that with the concept of prime modifier, and we're going to get into it. Here is the beautiful character sheet in its form fillable goodness, so we're going to go right into it. So player name, the Dungeon Coach. Character name for the Hulk, I don't want to put the Hulk, so for copyright reasons, I'm just going to say Bruce. Level for this character is 1. Ancestry and background for both of these. The ancestry for this would be human, and the background for this would be, scientist. Now, I will say DC20 currently at the release of this video is in its alpha stage right now. The very next thing that's going to be released in an alpha update, the update automatically for patrons and automatically for people who get the alpha on the website, is going to be the ancestry system as far as what you get from all of that, and that's going to be a whole separate video. Same thing with backgrounds. We'll talk about both of these in just a second whenever we get to that spot in the character sheet, but I just wanted to reference that. Class is going to be a Barbarian. Now for attributes in DC20, there are 4 attributes: might, agility, charisma, and intelligence. I'm going to have plenty of other videos on this. I'll have links to the playlist down in the description. I also answer all questions on live streams that I do every single week. There's a couple of ways you can get these 4 attributes. You can use a point buy system. You can roll for them, but we're going to use a standard array. It's my preferred method for all of this. You get a 3, a 1, a 0, and a -1. Yes, 1, 0, -1. Those are kind of the little stats, and that 3 is going to be your big main one. And I really like that in character creation. Which one of those 4 attributes is going to be your character's like cornerstone, big important thing? And you do get 1 free bonus attribute point to put into the 1, 0, -1 because the cap at level 1 characters is 3. So whenever you put that 3 somewhere, that is the highest it could possibly be. So here we go. I think for Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, intelligence is going to be the highest stat here. I'm going to put my 3, the biggest, most important stat in intelligence for a Barbarian. Whoa, time out, Dungeon Coach. What are you talking about? This is crazy. You can't build a Barbarian with a main stat of intelligence. That's crazy. I know. Stay with me here just a second. So for the rest of everything, I don't necessarily think Bruce Banner's too charismatic. He's kind of socially awkward. Agility, I don't necessarily see him being agile, whatever. So I'm going to put the -1 here in agility, and I'm going to put the charisma at a 0, and I'm going to put the 1 in might. And there's my standard array, but I get that 1 bonus point. And yes, I know we're building a Barbarian. Might is an important attribute, especially when it comes to health and athletics checks and other things like that. So I am going to put my 1 bonus point into might there, and there we go. There's my standard array. But also looking at this now, I know I'm building a Barbarian, and I don't want to nerf myself too much in other stats. Every single one of these attributes have a home here in DC20. So agility also connects to health. Your physical attributes tie in towards health, and mental ties in towards a little bit of mana and some other things, charisma socially. So I actually am going to go back here and give my -1 to charisma and bring my agility to the 0. And I'm switching those two. There we go. There's my attributes. Now, you might wonder, how on earth are you building a Barbarian? If you did this in Dungeons and Dragons, you'd be nerfing yourself if you put one of the highest stats you rolled into intelligence and you didn't put your strongest one in the constitution. Or stay with me. So this is called the prime attribute. It is the highest of these 4. Whichever one of these is the highest. So it's going to be 3. And it's going to be 3, yes, for every single player character. Because y'all are all adventurers. You all have an experience. And this prime attribute, I've done a whole video on this, but the prime attribute represents the highest experience of that. It's not meaning that I'm using my intelligence in battlefield to have to smash people. That's not what it necessarily represents. You can role play it that way, just like you can role play your stats up and down as much as you want. But this prime score represents your overall abilities as an adventurer, as your class, and abilities in combat also particularly. Prime is whenever your life's in danger and things hit the fan, prime is where you're going to go to. And your prime attribute is used in attack rolls. It's used in magic casting. It's used in all of the things that you should be good at. So if you wanted to build a might-based barbarian, you can. Your might would be 3 and your prime would be 3. But no matter what, whenever a barbarian swings their sword or whatever they're doing in combat like that, it's going to be a prime attribute used for that. So just because the might barbarian is defining themselves with being mighty doesn't put into question if they're good at swinging their weapon or not. So however you want to role play your character out of combat doesn't absolutely nerf you in combat. You can make a might, agility, charisma, or intelligence-based character, and you're going to have the same prime modifier. Now, do things like might pertain towards athletics and intimidation? Yes. Does charisma going to be things of interacting socially? Yes. They all have their importance, and you'll see that come online here. In DC20, you also get to pick your saving throws, which one you have proficiency, or in DC20, it's called mastery in. You get to pick 2 of these to have mastery in. And we'll talk about mastery here in a second, right after this. So I'm going to pick strength. I'm going to pick, this is the little bubble right here to bubble in for which ones I have mastery in. So I'm going to pick might, just that's going to be, especially when I'm hulked out in combat, I want to pick that. Agility doesn't make sense, and charisma saving throws are possession type things. Effects in DC20 are charisma saving throws if you're trying to avoid being possessed. And the Hulk is constantly being messed around in that way and shifting back and forth between personalities. So I'm not going to do that one either. And it's so intelligence fits. Now, next up is when your background would kick in. Now, in DC20, all backgrounds, every single one of them, it's very simple. All backgrounds give you 5 skill points to put in whatever skills you want. And you get 3 trade/language points to put in whatever trades or languages you want. The last thing backgrounds give is a background trait, which is a super simple, non-combat, mainly role-play focused ability. We're keeping background super simple here. Let's focus on the other stuff. So my 5 skills, which I'm going to put into my points here, are going to definitely be athletics and intimidation for the Hulk. Come on. I see nothing agility based. I see nothing in charisma based either. I'm going to put a point in investigation to represent the human side, the Bruce mind side of, being able to figure stuff out, investigate things. And I'm going to do survival for, well, not 2 points, because your cap here in DC20 is 1. Just like you have an attribute cap of 3 when you first start the game off, because there's a progression and you keep getting attribute points up as you level up. Just like you keep getting skill points as you level up. Constantly. So this is going to be, that's 4. I get 1 more. Now I cannot, like I just said, I cannot put it in, you can't put 2 into any one skill. Only certain classes can do that. That's how expertise works, when you can put more than your cap in. And your cap for all of these skills increases to 2 at level 5, level 10, level 15, level 20. It increases, your cap increases by 1. But now I want to highlight another cool thing here to give some respect to these intelligence-based things. There's a section of these intelligence-based skills. All of these are intelligence skills. There's a knowledge category, and it says a little banner here off to the side. If I put 1 point into, let's say I just go and put a history. If you put 1 skill point into any of the knowledge skills, you get a free bonus skill point to put anywhere else you want within knowledge skills as well. They're twice as effective because usually people refrain from like, oh, I don't want to put any points into religion, or do I need, this kind of solves that problem. So I'm going to represent the Bruce Banner trying to research things having to do with this Hulk situation. Maybe it's occultism. Maybe it's a curse that he has over him, and I want to pick occultism. Maybe it's magic and I want to pick arcana instead of occultism. I'm going to say that it's more so magic than a curse as far as his Hulk thing. So I'm going to do that right there. Now for those 3 trade/language points, you're going to be able to put them in whatever you want. You could do 3 trades, you could do 3 languages, and language is a whole nother topic we can actually show here. Languages, if I put 1 point into a language, you have limited ability to speak it. 2 is an elementary ability to speak and hear it. Now you're actually kind of decently, you can kind of understand it. And then 3 points gives you a full fluency in a language. You can see here at the bottom with 1, 2, or 3 points to be able to put in the languages. I'm going to stay away from that for right now. I'm just going to focus on trades. So let me look at the list here and I'll pick some. There we go. So I picked alchemy, cryptography, and tinkering. I think it'll be cool. I want to be a problem solver, cryptography, figuring stuff out, alchemy to kind of reference the little scientists going on, and tinkering to be able to kind of mess with tools and whatnot. So there we go. Boom, boom, boom. Now, how do we fill these things out? It's super freaking simple. And I have a little chart up here at the top to kind of guide you through it. So let's fill out the saves first. The saves are going to be exactly what it was here. So might is going to be 2, your agility 0, your charisma is going to be the -1, and then intelligence is going to be 3. That's how it works by default. But if you remember, we chose might to have combat mastery in, and we chose intelligence to have combat mastery in. And your combat mastery is equal to half of your level. Round it up, because in DC20 you always round up, because that's how math works, and actually is kind of nice in lots of other ways too. But anyway, so since I have chosen this, I gain my combat mastery here. Combat mastery is half your level. And for level 1, it's still 1. So that 2 now goes to a 3, and this 3 now goes to a 4. Done. And there's 2 other saves in DC20. You have your 4 attribute saves, might, agility, and charisma, intelligence, but there's also 2 other saves. Now, this would represent in D&D constitution saves and wisdom saves. These overall, it's affecting your body, but in DC20, I think it's more elegantly put to be might and agility. Whichever of these 2 are higher is your physical save. So that would be 3. So there's physical saves in DC20 and mental saves in DC20. So that's a 3 and a 0. The higher of the 2 is your physical. And the same thing happens here. The higher of your 2 is your mental. There you go. It's a 4. Awesome. Saves are done. And saves are in combat and use your combat mastery. But skills usually are out of combat. Could be used in combat, whatever. But skills follow a skill mastery, which is right here. Each of these bubbles you fill in as you put more points into them, as you level up and continue to gain them and increase your cap as you level up as well. You are able to put more points. So if you just put 1 point in here, you get a 2. Another point, 4, 6, 8, 10. If you fill it all the way up to the top, you get a +10. Oh my gosh, but that's going to be really high level stuff here. So for this, all you do is you get everything you normally would. So this, your awareness, which is a whole nother cool thing about DC20, your awareness, which is perception, is tied to your prime attribute. It's your overall sense of an adventurer, like I said, and you are an adventurer. You've been around the block a few times. You are aware in general. It's your prime attribute 3. Done. Now it's going to go across the whole board, and all of these numbers in their respective homes are going to be those numbers. All of these are going to be 0. All of these are going to be 2. All of these are going to be -1. All of these are going to be 3. You get the idea. Except if you do put a bubble there, it normally would have been a 2, like I just said. Your might's 2, athletics, intimidation 2. But if you have a skill mastery of 1 right there, you get you guessed it, +2 right there, because you are a novice at athletics. So now that goes up to a 4. And this intimidation, you also have that in there, so also goes up to a 4. Filling the rest of this out now is very simple. I have a 0, I have a 0, I have a 0, because I have no mastery there, and my agility is 0. I have -1s across the board here. And for intelligence, I would put 3s across the board, but I have a mastery in this right here, so 3 + 2 is 5. And then I don't have anything there, so it stays at 3. I have a 5 here, I have a 5 here, 5 here, and then 3, 3, 3. And then this is another custom thing. Maybe I should have used that one instead of the Arcana or History, but you can put in your own custom knowledge skill. So what would it be for the Hulk? You know what? I'm going to put Hulk Research. I'm going to put just for specifically the thing he has going on. I'm going to choose to put mastery in that, and I'm going to drop my mastery in Arcana. So that brings this back down to a 3 because I've lost mastery in that and I've gained it in here. I'm gonna put that as a 5. 53, 5, there we go. So now I've custom made this character. I really care about the knowledge and research about what's going on with this Hulk thing I have going on for my own roleplay reasons. Your Dungeon Master can take or leave that. But if you think through roleplay, you probably are gonna be spending a lot of time researching this thing of what's going on with me. How let's solve this puzzle that is this disease or curse I have. You have given yourself, with coordination of your Dungeon Master, a specific skill for that. Look at that. There's our skills and saves. Now for all the fun stuff here with attacks, health, and defense, let's go. Time out. This is a guide to help you create characters in your tabletop roleplay games. Well, Che and Peku have done the same thing, but for your maps. That's right. I've partnered up with Che and Peku in this way, and I'll be using their maps in a lot of the stuff we're going to be releasing for DC20 as well, because they have thousands of maps across literally anything you could think of. And not only could you find a map for anything you're thinking of, that map probably has has multiple different versions that you can shift and change between live during battle. It's my favorite thing to do. These are high quality maps made by people who understand tabletop roleplay games, and pretty much every map I could possibly find is dynamic and has terrain moving around, levels to it, different unique things and twists and turns within the map. Chan and Peku have been a game changer for my game prep, game changer to elevate my tabletop roleplay games online, and hopefully they'll be a game changer for you. So thank you to Chan and Peku for sponsoring this video. You can check them out and all of the thousands of maps down in the link in the description. Back to the character. All right, now hit points is the next very important thing to be able to do here, and I recommend doing hit points in the following way. I keep adding on to it. The formula for hit points, I will say the formula, but as I say it, I'm going to actively keep adding on to it just to show the mental numbers happening on the screen. Every character in DC20 starts off with a hit point of 4. A base commoner walking down the street would have 4 hit points. You're not an adventurer, you're just a regular dude. Cool, 4 hit points. Now for adventurers, you gain a little bit more health. You gain 2 times your level in health, meaning that every level you level up, you get 2 more health. Adds a little bit of scaling and keeps the health numbers really low so that the numbers don't get too crazy, and adds a small bit of scaling, but not too much. So at level 1, 1 times 2 is 2, so I'm going to add 2 points. Now that 4 goes to a 6. 4 plus 2, there we go. So now pretty much every level 1 character will have 6 base health. Base of 4 plus your level 1 character, there you go, you got your 6. Now, you also add your might and agility to them. Yes, your might and agility over here, you add this to your hit points. Now, keep that in mind when building a character. You might want to shift some stuff around. If you're building a character live during this, you might shift that around. But now, that 6 goes up to an 8 now because I have 2 in might and 0 in agility. And if you remember earlier, whenever I was like, ooh, you know what, charisma and agility, I'm going to switch that. If you have a negative agility, or might, yes, you do subtract 1. It's not like, oh, minimum of 1, it's fine. No, you subtract your hit points. So if you absolutely tank your physical, both of them, you put a 0 and a negative 1 here, you would have a base starting health of 5. That comes from the 4 base plus 2 more because you're a level 1, but then you minus 1 because you have a minus. But careful with that. So my max hit points are 8, my current hit points are 8. That's how this works. You also have mana points, and for right now, I'm going to put 0s in here because we gain stamina and mana from our class, and we haven't talked about our Barbarian class yet. We're just focused on filling the character sheet out. Mental and physical defense work the same way as health. There's a formula for it with a base, and we're going to add it up. So for your physical defense, here's how this works. You start off everyone with a base of 8. Now this is a combat-based thing, so you do add your combat mastery. Like we said, combat mastery is half your level, which is just a simple little 1 here. So now that little +1 bumps it up to a 9. For unarmored physical defense, which is all we have right now, you also add your agility. How agile are you from moving around? Ooh, but ours is 0, so we don't add that. And yes, if you have a negative in agility there, yes, that would be a -1. Now here's the cool part with DC20 is there is light armor and heavy armor. Everyone can wear light armor. Wizards, rogues, everything. Light armor in DC20 is just some sort of protective anything that you're wearing that's not just like regular clothes. It could be a thick padded robe as a wizard. It could be small little bits of armor in your arms. However you want to describe this is up to you. You start the game off with a novice light armor or novice heavy armor based on which class you are, and Barbarians do have access to both. Just a little sneak peek into Barbarian for a second here. As far as choosing between the two, Barbarians also have unarmored defense, which is going to be this, that's what we're going to do. So we are going to do unarmored defense, and so I'm going to leave this alone for right now. We'll talk about that when we get to the Barbarian. Okay, so here's the formula for all of this on the screen all at once, and I'm going to put numbers in each spot what represent this current character we'll build. So for light and heavy armor, novice light armor starts off with a bonus of +1. You're wearing something, it's a little bit more protective than in not armor, so it's a +1. Heavy armor though gives you a +3. More protective, more defensive, you got more stuff on you, there we go. So that's one difference. If you're wearing light armor, you add agility towards your armor, but if you are wearing heavy armor, you add your might. I'm going to show both the light and heavy armor formula on the screen right now. You can see they're both at an 8. They both add combat mastery. They both have an armor bonus. Like I said, light armor having a little bit smaller armor bonus than the other, but light armor adds agility, heavy armor adds might. Just makes sense to me. Let me know what you think, but let's go back to the Barbarian. Okay, so for right now, I'm going to leave that physical defense alone at a 9, and we'll talk about the Barbarian's special thing here in a second. So for mental defense now, it's going to be the same base of 8. I start off with an 8. That is my base mental defense of being able to be protected in that way. not magically so, not necessarily physically blocking things. It's magically so. Now, the things that target your mental defense are going to be things that your armor and however much shields and things on you wouldn't matter at all. Because if somebody's swinging a sword at you, obviously, yeah, shields and stuff will get in the way of that. Somebody's blasting with a firebolt, you can block it with a shield, yeah. But if somebody's searing you with holy light, you can't dodge holy light. That's going to be a mental defense thing. Someone's assaulting your mind psychically with psychic energy for it. That's going to be a mental defense type of thing. So this starts off as a base of 8 for everybody, plus your combat mastery, bringing you up to a 9. And yes, that will scale no matter how good these other things are. That will slowly scale up over time. And you also add, if you didn't see that we have might and agility went towards physical, and depending on how you're doing that, for mental defense, you add both of these together. So you add your intelligence and you add your charisma. So to go on that journey, I'll do charisma first, which brings us back down to an 8. Because yes, you do subtract these things. So that 9 goes back down to an 8. And then, plus 3 brings us back up. 8 plus 3 is 11. So my mental defense is 11. Awesome. Now, you might be wondering what these little heavy and brutal boxes are between here. And if you've stuck with DC20 and you understand some of the rules here, in combat, you gain additional damage whenever you roll 5 higher than the defense. So if I get hit in combat and somebody says, that's a 9 to hit, I'll be like, that hits. Yeah, 9. 10, 11, 12. But if you beat the armor class by 5, that is a heavy hit. And here's how this works. 9 plus 5 is 14, right? That's my heavy armor class, if you want to call it that, or heavy physical defense. And then 5 more than that, it gets us to a 19. So we have 9, 14, and 19. So here's what the beautiful thing is about this, to be able to be clean and quick and efficient at the table, both for dungeon masters and players, is if I'm the dungeon master, I'm attacking you, and this is the barbarian, I'm attacking you and I say, that's a 15 to hit. You look here, that definitely hit me. Ooh, you'd say that's a heavy hit. And you are verbally, clearly telling me you have heavy hit me. And in DC20, if you exceed the armor class by 5, aka a heavy hit, you deal 1 additional damage. So now I know my little goblin stabbed you, and instead of dealing 1 damage, now it dealt 2 damage. Or instead of dealing 3 damage, now it deals 4 damage. It's just a little +1. And you clearly say that to me, heavy hit, brutal hit. Maybe certain monsters have special effects that happen on heavy and brutal hits, and now I know from clear language at the table. So now my 11 goes to +5 is 16, and my brutal +5 more, 21. And damage reduction is by default 0, unless you have heavy armor or some other class feature type things that give you damage reduction. So there we go. Filling out the rest of the character sheet now before we get into the actual barbarian class and what that gives us. Your death threshold. And again, death's door is a whole mechanic and system. I'll have videos for that as well. But you go into death's door whenever you reach 0 hit points. Between 0 hit points and your death threshold, you are on death's door. You only have 1 action point. You're struggling to survive. If you ever go below your death threshold here, you die. Straight up, you're dead if you ever drop below this. And your death threshold is equal to 0 minus your prime attribute again up here. So that 3. So 0 minus 3 is a -3. So I am on death's door between 0 and -1 hit point and above. I'm fighting. I'm feeling it. My things might get sketchy, but I'm still okay. At 0 to -3, I'm at death's door. I only have 1 action point. I get to do 1 action point worth of things on my turn. I make a death save at the end of the turn. I possibly lose health. But if I ever get below this, my character is dead. So watch out there, adventurers. Stay sharp, okay? Movement speed. In general, your default movement speed is 4 spaces of movement. When I say spaces in DC20 is 5 feet. And I know if you're used to Dungeons and Dragons movement, you have 30 feet of movement. And that 30 feet of movement, then you translate to the map and you have to go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Why have to do that conversion? The more default used way is spaces and numbers. And this also works really nicely for Theater of the Mind and other things like that, but I'll get into that once those types of things release. So spaces, you can move 4 spaces. So if you take the move action, you move 1, 2, 3, 4 or 20 feet worth of spaces. And something like your jump distance, I did want to put this on here because it does come up decently enough to have to put that on here. Your jump distance, how many spaces your character can jump, is equal to the higher of these two, might or agility. Whether you're quick and nimble or strong, it's going to be the higher of these two to put here. So the jump distance would be 2. I can jump 2 spaces, given you have a running start and all that other kind of stuff, but I'm not here to talk about jump rules. And rest points. You have a number of rest points equal to your level, so that's just 1. Up here, we have action point trackers to be able to help track your action points and all those types of things, but that's not going to be something we fill out here. You start off with all 4 action points, you're fine. Attacks and spells. Here's the cool thing I referenced in the very beginning for this intelligence-based barbarian and how this Hulk can come to life here is your attack checks or spell checks. When you cast a spell, when you swing a weapon, whatever, is equal to your prime attribute right here, 3, plus your combat modifier. Your attack check of swinging a weapon or your spell check of casting a spell is represented right here. Also organized right in the center for you to be able to reference easy. This is a prime based thing. How good are you? How experienced are you as this class, as this adventurer? It's going to be 3. So you always have that 3 for sure. So it's a 3, but you also add your combat mastery, which is half your level. So there comes that 1 again, bringing us to a 4. So at the beginning of the game, it's also really nice to help all your new friends here that are just now starting to play the game, just now new to TTRPGs. Everyone's attack check or spell check is 4. You're all adventurers in different ways, in different regards and stuff. Everyone's attack check or spell check is 4. Now, some people's might be modified based on class things, based on magic items or other things like that, but by default, it's 4. And your save DC for any sort of effects that you're trying to impose on somebody and they have to roll against your DC for them resisting those effects is equal to a base of 8. As you'll note, everything has a base of 8 a lot of times. A base of 8 plus that combat mastery. This all should feel very familiar. So we have 9 and then plus your prime, representing your prime overall score right here once again. So 9 plus 3 brings us to a 12. And a martial check is something I'm putting here for right now. I don't know if it might be moved somewhere else later, like over here. But a martial check is either an athletics check or an acrobatics check, whichever's higher. So many times if you're grappling somebody or escaping a grapple, you're doing all this type of stuff, any sort of physical feat of thing you're doing, martial check is a great check to ask for because it's just athletics or acrobatics, whichever's higher. In this case, looking over here, my athletics is 4, my acrobatics is 0, so we're going to go with a 4. Now for weapons here, you're going to start the game off with a weapon. Some classes start off with more. I'm just, for the sake of simplicity, just going to put 1 weapon in here to kind of show you how that looks. Another thing in DC20 is there are fist weapons. And I think for the Hulk, fist weapons reflavored to be, his own fist, I think would be super cool. So we're going to do fist weapons. There's a weapon called Knuckles. So we're going to put that here for Knuckles. Their base damage for Knuckles is 2 points of damage, and that's bludgeoning. Super simple. So now right in the middle of the character sheet, if I want to attack somebody, here we go. I'm making an attack. Here we go. I'm adding +4 to that roll. So I'm going to spend an action point. I'm making an attack +4. If I hit, I deal 2 damage. Cool. If it's a heavy hit, that's 3. If it's a brutal hit, that's 4. Super simple. If I'm raging, which brings us to our class. Also, as a quick side note, inventory down here is going to be mainly comprised of your background, of certain things you get from your background. Half of your inventory is going to come from your background and the other half is going to come from your class. But again, still in the alpha, so let's get into the class. All of your class-based stuff or any other features that you get from ancestries or other stuff, I would put here in features. This is where you'll put things like rage, reckless attack, all those things. Why not? Here's a little sneak peek of the actual barbarian, and here's what you get. You get all your weapons, all armor, all shields. They have combat mastery with them all. You can use whatever weapons you want. You're going to gain access to maneuvers and techniques. Those are entire things for other videos, which lets you really be able to customize the way that you fight and move and different things you can do with your attacks. Stamina. You gain stamina points. You gain a number of stamina points equal to the number of stamina points in your barbarian class table, which brings us to the class table. Barbarians get a bonus HP of +2. Whoa, they're a barbarian. They get 2 bonus health at the start of the game. That's the most of any class. And they gain 1 total stamina point. Let's add that to our sheet. So our stamina now is 1, and our maximum stamina now is 1. Mana points, barbarians don't have any mana points. Nope. And then hit points. Ooh, we get that bonus +2, getting into the double digits now. Let's go. Now here's your barbarian class table. You really only need 2 things from this, that being bonus hit points if you get any. The wizard table is completely empty, just for the record. Barbarians are the only ones that get 2 bonus hit points at level 1, and you get stamina or mana. Marshals get stamina, spellcasters get mana. This is a Barbarian. They only get stamina. And like we've already said, you get that 1 bonus attribute point at the start and those 5 skill points at the start. But we already took care of those, so let's add ourselves in the bonus hit points and stamina. So stamina is now going to be 1. So I have 1 stamina, which lets me be able to do lots of things, but I'm not here to talk about stamina. And hit points now go up to double digits into 10. And the last unique thing here for Barbarians is they do get unarmored defense, where if you are not wearing armor, you have some benefits. Basically, these benefits is if you do not wear armor, you can increase your speed by 1. Ooh, baby. And you can increase your physical defense by an amount equal to your might. Oh, so basically you get to add unarmored defense always is 8 plus your combat mastery plus agility. That's always what it is. If you don't have any armor, you don't have any armor bonuses. You just, that's all it is. But now Barbarians also get to add their might to their defense, bringing that 9 up to an 11, which then therefore would also bring this heavy number up to a 16 and up to a 21. So now we have the same mental and physical. How balanced is this character? And there's the character sheet, clean as that. You should be able to do this even faster without me having to talk and explain it. And as you go through it, that's kind of the process of step-by-step process you go through. I'm super excited to release ancestries here really soon and backgrounds along with them to really be able to build the most customizable level 1 characters ever. If any of this sounds interesting or intriguing to you and you want to check it out right now, you can check out the alpha. The 0.4 alpha at the time of releasing this video is out right now. If the 0.5 alpha is out, that means the ancestries have been released along with that as well. And if you pick the alpha up on the website, you're going to get constant updates as the alpha updates itself. And if you pick it up over on Patreon at the higher reward tiers, you get updates there too. Even sooner, early access stuff always for patrons. And a real quick mini little sentimental timeout here for some of the comments I've gotten about, oh, this is a paid alpha. It feels bad to pay for an unfinished product and all that stuff. This whole thing was going to be a patron only thing. The only reason I can even make this game, make videos about this game, have spent time and months and months and months, years collectively working on this game is because of the patrons. And it was going to be a patron only thing. And that was going to be start off at a higher reward tier and then over time release to all patrons. And then over time, then there's the Kickstarter. I had so many different people reach out and be like, I'm going through some hard times right now. I can't afford to do this and that. I wanted to create a second option, which is the website option, to be able to get in, get a one-time purchase that automatically updates itself for those people. For something that was originally going to be patrons only, I wanted to open it up a little bit and also fund and fuel this project to be able to get it to the finish line. This is a big task to do, especially because I'm not a company. I have a small handful of people that help me in their free time of the other jobs that they work. So it is entirely, this entire DC20 project is fueled by you guys, fueled by the support of you going and picking this up on the website or supporting over on Patreon. And if that's not for you, I totally get it. If this is too early access and you don't really care, I'll wait till the whole thing. There's gonna be plenty of stuff that I'm gonna be releasing absolutely for free down the road. That's a big, huge plan I have. I'm just trying to get to that finish line to launch the Kickstarter, to get this whole thing going and spread the word. And if that interests you enough to pick up a copy, cool, go ahead and do that. And if not, just stay buckled up, watch these videos. These are completely free. Let me know what you think. So now after we hulk out with this intelligence-based Barbarian, I think it's just a super fun thing to be able to do. Also, I referenced intelligence-based paladins earlier. You could make an intelligence-based paladin, because if you put intelligence as your main thing, you would have a 3 in intelligence and you would be able to attack with your sword, cast spells, and not absolutely nerf yourself. Because all we're trying to do here is stay creative and think outside the box. Peace.